God bless you this evening. Once again, we welcome every single one of you as you are connecting live right now on YouTube and also through Facebook. Um, we're so grateful every single time that you join us live with our service and also with this program here. Um, we're going to read a portion from Scripture in the book of Psalms. We're going to read together. Open up your Bibles, please, so we can read the Word of God together. And we want to bring a message to the soul. The Word of God. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Psalms 121. I will lift up my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. He will not let your foot slip. He who watches over you will not slumber. Indeed, he who watches over Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. God bless you. Just as God's word says, God will never slumber nor sleep. So let's pray right now so that we can receive the blessing of God. Going to worship, and then we go into God's beautiful word so that more souls can be saved. Let's gather together in prayer. Father God, we give thanks to you this hour. Thank you so much for allowing us to come to your sanctuary as we can worship your name and glorify your name. Father God, thank you for all the families, all the people who are gathered together and are connected live and waiting to hear the word of God through your pastor, Father God, as we can reflect on your word, the word that can fill our hearts, Father God. In the name of Jesus, we ask you, Heavenly Father, that you are amongst us. In the name of Jesus, we so desire it to be so. Blessings, family. Big hugs. Let us sing to God.
Se escucha un sonido, desciende desde el cielo, trayendo libertad, llenándonos con fuego. Se escucha un sonido, desciende desde el cielo, trayendo libertad, llenándonos con fuego. Tu gloria está en este lugar, se mueve y me envuelve más. Tu gloria está en este lugar, se mueve y me envuelve más. Tu gloria está en este lugar, se mueve y me envuelve más. Tu gloria está en este lugar, se mueve y me envuelve más. Algo está pasando, los cielos se están abriendo, ángeles están cantando y los demonios están huyendo. No hay enfermedad, no hay cautividad. ¿Dónde está el Espíritu de Dios? Ahí hay libertad. y algo está pasando. Los cielos se están abriendo, ángeles están cantando y los demonios están huyendo. No hay enfermedad, no hay cautividad. ¿Y dónde está el Espíritu de Dios? Ahí hay libertad. Y algo está pasando. Los cielos se están abriendo, ángeles están cantando y los demonios están huyendo. No hay enfermedad, no hay cautividad. ¿Y dónde está el Espíritu de Dios? Ahí hay libertad. Y algo está pasando. Los cielos se están abriendo y ángeles están cantando y los demonios están huyendo. No hay enfermedad, no hay cautividad. ¿Y dónde está el Espíritu de Dios? Ahí hay libertad. Y algo está pasando. Los cielos se están abriendo, ángeles están cantando y los demonios están huyendo. No hay enfermedad, no hay cautividad. ¿Y dónde está el Espíritu de Dios? Ahí hay libertad. Y algo está pasando. Los cielos se están abriendo, ángeles están cantando y los demonios están huyendo. No hay enfermedad, no hay cautividad. ¿Y dónde está el Espíritu de Dios? Ahí hay libertad. Su gloria está en este lugar. Se mueve y me mueve más, Jesús. Tu gloria está en este lugar. Se mueve y me mueve más. Tu gloria está en este lugar. Se mueve y me mueve más. Tu gloria está en este lugar. Se mueve y me mueve más.
Praise God, His glory is in this place. We're very glad. I'm very happy because I'm not so anxious to be here all this week, to be here this Friday, be here in this church. And I want you to be blessed this evening, to be attentive to God's voice. And I'm so happy, so content, because I'm very happy because I'm blessed with the presence of our sister Lillian this evening. Give thanks to God that God was able to intervene in her life, and we're here rejoicing. Her husband and her children are in their home right now. So beautiful. I know that her kids and her husband really rejoiced hearing their beloved mother here singing and worshiping God right here in God's presence. So as you were there, so about, let's say, half of the month, middle of the month or so, I was asked if, were we coming back, were we reopening church or so? So we're calculating that the coming month, I think the 14th of next month, that we're able to be here with God's help. With God's help. It's not certain, but we're calculating. That's what we're planning for. We are at the point of celebrating, right? This I know that we're about to celebrate some in a traditionalist type of way, Mother's Day, which is coming this Sunday. I know that day is approaching. It's a very special day for many people as we're able to celebrate those beautiful mothers in our lives, right? So from this moment, I want God to bless you greatly. And I know that I want all of us to go to the Word of God. Let us go to 2 Corinthians. Open up your Bibles. I'm going to give you an opportunity, so that you may sit down, open your Bibles, turn off your phone, turn off the TV, anything that can distract you. Not sit down, take a seat back and listen to God's Word. 2 Corinthians 4:17, the Word of God in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. So I'm going to repeat this again. For our light and momentary trouble are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. If you're standing right now, you can sit down. And I know that the personnel that is here working together, collaborating to this evening with our pastor here, as they sit down here, we celebrate this beautiful day. So, the sufferings that are very quick, that are momentary and light, troubles of life, we're able to see or observe what is happening. So let me say this. They produce an eternal glory that have much more value than all of the sufferings. I'm going to repeat it again. Because the quick and momentary troubles, what they produce, it is an eternal glory that has more value than all of the troubles of life. I want to remind you, and I want to say to you this evening, in this brief time that I've been allotted this evening, that suffering causes to reduce the goal of consecration. I want you to remember this statement. Suffering, the fire of suffering, allow to reduce the goal of consecration, which means that God has a purpose behind every problem. And sadly so, we are unable to discern the calamity or troubles, because what happens is that suffering, what it does, it blinds that vision. And let me tell you something, God has a problem, He has a purpose, behind every single trouble that you face. And God, He utilizes every single circumstance in our life to develop in us the character that He envisions for us. So God, once again I want to say, He uses, in other words, our circumstances to make us more like Jesus. So the situation is this, that every day, daily, we face circumstances 24 hours a day. We are facing circumstances that are different, that diverse type of circumstances, diverse or different types of problems, and many of them are unexpectedly. So in the middle of the circumstances, we should not lose hope or give up in that faith in the midst of those problems. This word right here, I gotta say again, because I want to make sure that this word that you receive, the circumstances and troubles of life, what they do is at times it causes us to lose that faith. But we should not give up our faith or lose hope in the midst of these problems. And this verse that we just read in 2 Corinthians 4:17, for us is awaiting us in eternal glory that is there. We are only partly enjoying a glory, But one day in the future, we're going to enjoy an eternal glory. In other words, I want to tell you this. Do not be discouraged. Be encouraged. Something better awaits you. We're suffering situations that we did not expect. But let me tell you something. We are experiencing a glory, but partly only. And soon we're going to enjoy a greater total joy. In Romans chapter 8, the Word of God tells us in this way: I am certain that the afflictions of the present time, I want you to hear this, are not compared to the glory to come in us that is to be manifested in us. So I want to repeat again because I like to do that, as you know. I am certain that the afflictions of the present time are not compared, do not compare to the coming glory that we are to receive. So I want to tell you that the believer, when they do not center their attention in the afflictions that we are experiencing in actuality, what the believer does is sees ahead of them, in front of them, the glory that is to come in the future. We're not focusing just on the oppressions and feelings of a lot of the weights of life that we feel. Um, I was going into the store today, and a lot of people have masks. They look like some Wild Wild West cowboys in there. And let me tell you something. Yes, we place, a mask because, I may be sick and I don't want to get anybody sick, or someone may be sick and I don't want to get sick, so we put on the mask, right? And these situations have many people terrorized. And we know that what awaits us is an eternal glory to every single one of us. And that is why what it does to us, it gives us the strength for us to press forward. I have an anecdote that I want to share with you today. And I really love to use illustrations. It is a balance or weight placed before you, which is speaking about troubles or tribulations of life. It is a balancing between troubles and eternal glory. So, what you are to receive on the other side, extreme. So, tribulations can be heavy, yes, and they can appear to be severe. However, when the believer knows the eternal glory that they are going to receive on the other side of the balance, then what happens is that the troubles and adversities of life will be lighter. And let me tell you something, the troubles, they seem to be heavy in this moment, but later on we're going to have a glory that is going to weigh more than the adversities of life. We're going to have an eternal glory in God. All of the sufferings of this world, illnesses, infirmities, misery, disillusionment, and poverty, mistreatment and sadness, persecution, difficulties, all types, should be considered insignificant compared to the blessings and privileges and the glory that will be given to the believer in the coming world. I don't want you to feel bad. I don't want you to feel confused. All the sufferings of this world, illnesses, pain, misery, disillusionment, poverty, mistreatment, sadness, persecution, difficulties of all types, this should be considered as insignificant when they are compared with the blessing, with the privileges, and the glory that should be given to the faithful believer in the coming world. How interesting is that portion right there? Now, Jesus, he warned us. Jesus warned his disciples when he saw them sad that we will have troubles in this world, that we will have affliction in this world. In the book of John, chapter 16, 33, Jesus said, the world you will have affliction. He's speaking about this world we're in. But trust, but take heart, I have overcome the world. John 16, 33. The Lord God, He provided to us a way for us to walk on. And He let us know that there's going to be turbulent times. There's going to be a little bit of everything. But Jesus said, place your eyes on Him because He has overcome the world. So, in other words, nobody is immune to pain. This is not a supra or super spirituality talk here. No, 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 no. We're not talking about super spirituality. We are in a contaminated world. We are in a contaminated world, a world that is defiled. Nobody is immune to suffering. Nobody can avoid, or be able to evade life problemless. No, you're gonna have problems in this life. And even though we may not invite these problems, you're gonna have problems in life. When you go to work, you don't know if you're gonna get a flat tire. You're not gonna know if you're gonna hit something or somebody's gonna hit you because we are not immune to pain. Nobody can avoid suffering, and nobody can try to, avoid or evade problems and issues and dilemmas. What we can say is this: that life is a series of conflicts. I don't want to discourage anybody, but I want to tell you this: that life is a series of conflicts. And there is another conflict after you get out of one, waiting to occupy that place in your life. There's always a conflict waiting in line to come to your life. Because life is a series of conflict. Which means this: that perhaps some conflicts are small in stature, or they may be bigger than others. But they are insignificant and in your process. And that is why we don't understand at times that they are insignificant in your process of spiritual growth. At times we don't understand that. At times we dismiss these things. Why does this happen to me? Why is this happening to me? Why is that happening to me? I pray, I fast. This doesn't mean that problems are not going to come to your life. Problems are going to arrive in your life. But you got to keep still. You got to be calm. God knows what we need, because these problems in life, they help us in the process of spiritual growth in our life. There are things that we don't see, but God sees them in our lives. There are things that we are not able to understand or discern, but God is able to discern the things and understand these things. God discerns the things that are undiscerned in us. So the psalmist, a lot of the times, the circumstances, and his complaint, but you know what? When he came to God, to the altar of God, he prayed to God, he realized that he had a lot of issues, a lot of problems in his life that he had to resolve. And let me tell you something: when you come to God, when you come to the altar of God, you're going to notice that there are things in your life that you need to solve. There are things in your life that require a solution. That some series of problems and conflicts that come to your life, that these insignificant appearing things in life, what they do instead is to allow us to grow in the process. Look at what the word of God and the Apostle Peter says. In 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 12, beloved, and he calls us to attention, beloved. Pay attention to this. Do not be surprised or the trial of fire that is to come to us. Why are you afraid? Why are you going through confusion in life? Why are you afraid? Why are you surprised with the trial of fire that has come to you, as if a strange thing has come to you? As if something that is unknown to you in your life. As if something strange that you have never seen. Why are you afraid? Why are you intimidated? Why are you in fear? And do not be surprised. Do not be surprised in having to face diverse problems that try your faith in God. Listen, This is not something that is out of the ordinary. Problems are going to come to your life. Don't feel sad. Don't feel sad. And let me tell you, maybe your faith has faltered. You are perhaps double mindedly in life and you are doubting in your faith. What all of this means is that don't be surprised that you had to face conflicts in life that are testing your faith in God. Look, it is nothing out of the ordinary, okay? And I love what Job said in chapter 23, verse 10. I really love this biblical portion. Job, he said in this beautiful portion of scripture, but he knows me. He knows the way that I take. When he has tested me, I will come forth as gold. That is Job 23, verse 10. Let's read this again. But he knows the way that I take. When he has tested me, he knows when I wake up and when I go to bed. He would test me, and I will come forth as gold. Wow, what a word. Praise God. God is good. What a beautiful word. Every single step that you take, God knows. Your entrance and your way out. Before you speak a word, God knows that word. God knows it. What's going to come out of our mouth, God knows. God will test me, and I will come out of this as gold. And one of the things that I want to feel this way, and Job felt this way, that God, He cared for him. And I want to feel that way too. That in the middle of all these turbulent times, that at times we wake up in the morning and we see the rays of the sun, and you don't know what awaits you throughout the day. I need to have the serenity. I need to have the trust that God still cares for me. That God still takes care for me. That God has not abandoned me. Even though I'm weak or whatever I'm going through in my life, as a child of God, God does not let me go. And one of the words that David the psalmist said, even though everyone abandons me, my God will not leave me. Even though my father and my mother abandoned me, God will gather me up to him. Look at the security, the trust that God had in the care of God, and look at the serenity that Job felt. Job was on the ground. He was downcast. He was down. He was miserable. He had, an illness in his body. He lost everything. And with all of that, he said, I am certain that God cares for me. Oh, I don't know how you feel right now. I don't know what's going on in your life. But if you were in Job's shoes, will you be able to express those things? He is sick with wounds all over his body, misery, sick, and ashes, with all of that, all that pain in his skin. With all of that, he looks up to God and says, I know that you take care of me. I know that you still love me, that you take care of me. And he knew that no adversity, I want you to hear this, Job knew that no adversity would apart him from the fidelity or faithfulness of God. Do you know how many people have grown apart from God because of the things that they're going through? Because of all this that has happened, the pandemic and all the results from it? People give up on God. I'm talking about Christian people. I'm talking about believers. And they're only in appearance, but when the test comes, when the trial comes, they give up. They don't know what to do. They become confused. But let me tell you something. Job, in the middle of the struggle, he's not going to depart from the faithfulness of God, because God continues to be faithful. I am wicked. God is not wicked. God is not evil. I am. And Job understood and he observed that his suffering was only a test. A test. Let me tell you something. This is something that appears to be illogical or nonsense. It appears to be not make any sense. That you're going through a trial, but Job understood that this is a trial to be tested in our faith. but that He loves me. That the one who God loves, God corrects. And that the one who God loves, He tests. And He allows them to go to the trial of fire, of tests, to know what is in our hearts. Man, I feel the presence of God right now. I felt a beautiful presence of God because we're talking about what are the things that we need to have success in our life. We need to place yourself under the power of God, under the sovereignty of God. I need to position myself under the sovereignty of God, under the will of God. When I am under God's will, everything is going to come out right. My prayers are going to be answered. God is going to respond to me because I am under the cover of God. I am under the sovereignty of God. Oh, yes. Oh, praise the living God. I feel God right now. And when the sovereignty of God, I am under His sovereignty, everything that you go through, it's going to come out right. Even though around you, you see a lot of turbulence, a lot of adversity, even though there's a lot of tears, a lot of crying, but in the middle of the tears and all the crying out to God, I can say that God is still with me, that God still cares for me. Even though nobody sees it that way, God still loves me. And Job said, even though you may kill me or take my life, I will still worship you. Even from the dust, God is going to raise me. Oh, God is holy. Oh, praise the living God. I want you to wake up. You who are hearing me right now, you who feel sad, you who feel depressed, you need to stop and get out of that. Put your life in God's hands. If you are in God's hands, there is victory for you. When your life is not in God's hand, there is destruction. Everything is lost for you. But when your life is in God's hand, God will take care of His children. God is going to protect you. If you are hearing this word of God right now, I want you to hear this. The firm conviction of this man, Job. You got to have a conviction that is solid. Job had a solid conviction that he will get out of this test and that he will not abandon or turn his back on his Lord. That is a conviction that you need to have. I am going to pass this test. No matter what, I am not going to abandon my God. And never pass his mind. When his wife told him, curse your God. No. Impossible. If I worship God in the good times, why? I'm going to keep worshiping God in the good and the bad. Praise God for that. And when I had a lot of material blessings and all this and that, I'm going to worship God even more now. Because they are Christians that like to say hallelujah and glory to God when there is a job, when they have their fridges filled with food and this and that. But when jobs are lacking and there's no job, there's unemployment, they are afflicted. Their faces fall down and they cannot be happy. They're not content. There's nothing in your life that moves without the will of God. You need to smile that Jesus Christ loves you. Wow. And this is that you will support yourself. You will lean on the Lord. Job leaned on God. He knew how to obey Him. And he leaned on Him no matter what happened in his life. And Job said, my feet had followed His steps, His ways. I kept His ways and I did not depart. Job said in 23:1, I did not depart from my God. I kept myself there. Following verse 12, I have not departed from the commands of His lips. I had treasured the words of His mouth more than my daily bread. I have not departed from Him. And then Job, he praised, he loved God's word. Do you love God's word? Are you obedient to God's word? Look, if you love God's word, he says in Job, he says this. The commandment of His lips I will not depart from. I kept, the commandment of His word more than my own food. I had treasured the words of His mouth more than my daily bread. That is Job 23 verse 12. Do you fear God? Do you revere or respect God. What He has determined for me, He will finish. In other words, I want to tell you this. I don't want you to feel sad. Don't feel sad. God is still not done with you yet. I don't even think God got started with you yet. God is still not finished with you yet. And Job said, He will finish what He has determined to do in my life. And many things like this. This, in other words, what's going on in my life, there are other things that are going to come to me. And they may be worse. We don't know. We don't know. Maybe things that are going to be tougher even than that which you have already experienced. And Job said, but even with all of that, whatever God has determined, He will finish. All those problems that you're facing, God is going to use those problems for you to grow closer to God. I want to invite you to get close to God. The Word of God, the Bible, gives you words of encouragement. You know, the Word of God says that God is close to the broken in spirit and those who are down in spirit. I want to repeat again. The Bible gives us hope for God's presence when we're facing problems. In Psalms 34:18, did you open your Bibles and go there? God is close to those of the broken spirit and those who are down in spirit. He heals. So in other words, God is close for those with a broken heart and frees those who have their spirit down, squashed into the ground. And God is going to free you. And it may be that your experience, deep experience, probably occurs during these moments in your life right now. It may be that your intimacy with God, this is the moment in your life right now that it has been the deepest. This is the closest that you've ever been to God. During this time, you've been so close to God, the closest you've ever been. Now, the experience that Job felt, the experience that Job went through, it allowed Job to get closer to God. And I hope that you are still and know that the Lord is God. Analyze who God is in your life. And stop trying to be super strong, super spiritual. Like you're too good for God. Don't do that. Let God work for us. A lot of the times God has to, break our head or like He did, cause us to go lame. So us to depend on Him. And let me tell you something. In this experience deeply, now that you are in those darkest times of your life, when you feel that your heart is destroyed, when you feel that you have no options, when the pain is so enormous, and the only one that you can run to for help is God. As that woman that the Bible speaks about, that she suffered so much, and she decided to touch the garment of Jesus. That woman that she spent all of her resources on a doctor, and her life was destroyed. But when she heard that the teacher was passing by, she decided in her suffering, in her circumstance, to touch the mantle, the garment of Jesus Christ. And her situation she was freed from. Matthew 9:22. Then when God saw her, look at what God. Let's go to Matthew 9:22. Be encouraged, daughter. Your faith has saved you. And the woman left saved from that hour. From that instance, that woman was healed. When we're suffering, I want you to hear this. Our prayers are deeper, are more profound. They have more meaning and purpose. At times, our prayers are vain. Our pains are repetitive, monotonous, and when we are in a state of suffering, then in that brokenness, that profound brokenness in our heart, then the exclamation of our soul crying out to God and our spirit speaking to God, because our heart has sense, purpose, and meaning becoming into purpose. And it is only in the suffering that we get to know it. And in the moment of suffering, we are able to learn things about God that we beforehand did not know. In the moment, I repeat again, in the moment of suffering, we get to know. In the moment of suffering, we get to know things about God that we did not know about Him before. In 2 Timothy 2:12, if we suffer with Him, we will also reign with Him. In the book of James, chapter 5, verse 11, the Word of God says that we are blessed, those that suffer. It gives us a great example about Job and his trial. Remember what was the end for him, right? What happened later on? You read chapter 39 in Genesis. We could talk about the life of Joseph. How God could have avoided for Joseph to go to jail, to be locked up in jail. God did not avoid it because God had a purpose for him. And you read Daniel 6:16 to 23. They put him in the lion's den. God could have avoided for Daniel to fall into the lion's den or to be put in there, but he did not. And you go to Jeremiah 38:6, and then he was put into a cistern. And God could have avoided that, but God did not avoid it. Paul in 2 Corinthians 11, verse 25, he was shipwrecked. God could have avoided it, but God did not avoid it. The three youth in the book of Daniel, the three youth, they battled in the burning furnace. God could have avoided this to happen, but God did not avoid it. Listen, God could have done it, but He did not do it. God did not take him out of that situation. That's incredible. Wow. God never freed him from that. He allowed them to get to that moment of affliction in their life, or torment, of lacking, of want, where they felt that nobody was there for them. That Jeremiah even cursed the day of his birth. He was tortured, he was beaten, but God did not get him out of that. Why is that? Because God had a purpose for him. And that is where we just don't understand. We just don't get it. Purpose, purpose, purpose. I'm going to tell you very quick, I had to go 2 times with the trial of cancer. And the kidneys, when I went, I have a new kidney. And this time it was a leg. I have a tumor in my leg. They said, hey, that's cancerous. And a lot of tests here and there, etc., etc. The last test was for the surgeon to make the decision to operate on me. And the surgeon says, hey, I got some bad news for you. Okay, do you have to amputate my leg? No, we have not found the tumor. The tumor disappeared. And the good news is this. Well, we don't know where the pain is coming from then. I cannot operate on you. God has a purpose. God shows to us that He is God. There's no one is greater than God. It doesn't matter the wisdom and knowledge of man. God, allows man to see something visibly in the X-rays, and then they come back and they don't see anything in the X-rays. God is over science. God is over medicine. And I have to go to surgery sometimes, yes, operations. So we have to go through those things. But God allowed these problems to happen, and as a result of this, these circumstances allow these men to get closer to God. How do you feel after this trial that you've gone through? You're at the brink of death, and you say after what you have gone through that you're not closer to God? You have problems. If you have not changed, then you have problems, because problems, they cause us to look at God closer and to depend on God more than in ourselves. So a lot of the times God has to, really take away that pride. He has to do what he has to do so that we may get to know that God is God. In 2 Corinthians chapter 1 verse 9, we had in us a sentence of death so that we would not trust in ourselves but in God, the one who resurrects the dead. And Paul was speaking here. We had a sentence of death so that we would not trust in ourselves. And Paul was testifying that we may trust in God who resurrects us from the dead. And what happened was that Paul was saying that we were sentenced to death. And you who are watching me, you can see how, futile, how we were worthless. We have no worth, worthlessly able to escape from that condemnation, from that we were going through. And we are people that we are worthless in this area. In this situation, have no strength, powerless. Let us be people who are humble. Let us humble ourselves before God so that God can move in our lives. When you're docile, God can easily manage you. When you're not, then God cannot manage you. And the only way that God can manage us is when we humble ourselves to Him. When we humble ourselves to Him. When we humble ourselves to God, then it makes us, when we are proud, then we're useless before God. We can't be used. God cannot work with us. But when we humble ourselves, then God can work in us. I want you to write this down. And you have a pen or paper or a pencil. I want you to write this down. Are you writing this down? You will never know that God is everything you need until He is everything that you have. I gotta say that again. You never will know that God is everything you need until He is everything you have for your life. And I want to end with this. None of your problems can occur if God does not allow it. And there was rain, it's because God allows it. Nothing can happen. Any of the problems in life cannot happen if God does not allow them. Everything that happens to a child of God has to be filtered through God. Everything that you're going through, there has to be a filtering of God. And God thinks of using it for good, even though the intention or Satan may have an intention in harming you. And he had an intention to harm and erase Job from this world. But God placed boundaries. He could not pass those boundaries. God is sovereign. God has control on everything. And we have to understand and learn that everything that happens in our lives, there's a significance. There is a meaning for it. It doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter what you go through. Everything that you go through, there is a meaning behind it. There's a significance behind it. The book of Romans says that for those who love God, everything works out for good. Because for those He foreknew, He predestined them for them to be according to the image of His Son. In Isaiah 41:10, the Word of God tells you, do not fear, because I am with you. Do not be dismayed, because I am your God. I'll give you strength. I will always help you. I will always sustain you with right hand of righteousness. God bless you so much, church. We hope that we continue to pray for one another. You have accepted Christ as your Savior. Father, just pray with me right now. Father God, I come to you in the name of Jesus Christ. I acknowledge my sin, that I'm a sinner. Write my name in the book of life. I want you to be constituted as your child, and I want you to be my Lord. You have gone astray. Lord, I come back home. I come back home. The place that I abandoned you. Forgive my sins. Forgive my disobedience. Forgive my transgressions. And Lord, help me to rise up from this weakness, God. Help me of getting out of this drug addiction and alcohol addiction. I want to be able to rejoice in your presence again. Father God, thank you. You're sick. We're having illness. I trust in God that God is going to move in your life. All spirits of illness leaves your body right now. We order every spirit of illness. If you're going through disease or illness, if you're going through this disease, this virus infection, viral infection that you're going through, and you're hearing me right now, in the mighty name of Jesus Christ, believe in God. God has a purpose. God has a great purpose. Believe, Adam, believe in God. Believe in God. For the Hill family, believe in God, that God is great, that God is mighty, and God will never leave you. And God will not forsake you. We are here located at 711 East 4th Street in West Liberty, Iowa. When we reopen, we have open arms for you. We preach the good news or the gospel here, and we are going to share that affection and love. Look, the whole world is defiled, man. The whole world is, the word about it is come to church, and when we reopen, come and gather. I want to finish with this prayer. The Lord bless you. The Lord keep you. The Lord let His face shine upon you. Have mercy upon you. He show His face before you and place peace in you. You will invoke the name of your God upon your family. And God will bless you. I bless you in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. I miss you, church. We'll see you soon. Sister Lillian and Brother
Toma
Sammy.
mi vida, oh Dios, toda la entrego yo a ti. Siendo yo malo, moriste en la cruz por mí. Quiero servirte, oh Dios, también sufrí yo por ti, pues tú sufriste también por mí en la cuenta cruz. Toma mi vida, oh Dios, toda la entrego yo a ti. Siendo yo malo, moriste en la cruz por mí. Quiero servirte, oh Dios, también sufrí yo por ti, pues tú sufriste también por mí en la cuenta cruz. Toma mi vida, oh Dios, toda la entrego yo a ti. Siendo yo malo, moriste en la cruz por mí. Quiero servirte, oh Dios, también sufrí yo por ti, pues tú sufriste también por mí en la cuenta cruz.
Once again, God bless you. How many rejoice with that word? I know that it has filled our hearts. That word, I know that has touched your heart. And I want to invite you. You don't have a church where to congregate, a church where to attend. We invite you to our church in West Liberty, Iowa. Very soon we'll be reopening the doors, or the church, that we can come together to rejoice. We have services Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. Wednesdays 7:30 p.m., Fridays 7:30 p.m., and on Sundays we have 9:30 a.m. We'll be reopening soon. Give God an opportunity. Allow God to be the one to take hold of your life. Because let me tell you this, God loves you. Church of God, let us pray together to be dismissed. Don't forget that on Wednesday, we're going to, our children, they have a, service. We got the sisters from the children's ministry, Sister Veronica, also giving a class as well, and Sister Gabriela also giving us a class for our kids. It begins 6 to 6:30, 6:30 to 7. So please, kids, let's make sure we're joining and be active, joining live on Wednesdays, 6 to 7. It's going to be a blessing for you. Let us all pray right now to be dismissed from our service and that the Holy Spirit may help us this moment. Father God, we give thanks to you and once again, Jesus, because you have been so good to us. Thank you, God, for the word that has come to our hearts. Many of us, we need that word. Many of us are going through problems and difficult moments in life. Father God, you know how to reach our hearts. Bless every single family that are joining us live today. Those that are going to watch the service later on, bless them as well in a special way that your angel may accompany around us and camp around us in every moment. Bless our pastors, all the church leadership. That the blessings be with them. Every single one of our families, our church, Heavenly Father, are blessed. In the name of Jesus. Amen. God bless you, church. A big embrace, a big hug to all of you. We'll see you next service on Sunday at 10. God bless you.